Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Today, I'm going to go through the 3 books I finished in July and also my reading plans and goals for August because I definitely want to read more than 3 books this month. So I'm going to start with my lowest rated book on up to my highest rated book. So let's get into it. So the first book I finished was a graphic novel called Sheets by Brenna Thummler. And this focuses on a girl named Marjorie and a ghost boy named Wendell. I ended up giving this book 3 stars, and Marjorie, and she is struggling with the death of her mother, processing this while also trying to keep the family laundromat alive, and also struggling with helping to raise her younger brother because while her dad is physically present, he's not mentally present because of the deep depression he's going through as a result of the mother's death. One of the things I really liked about this book was the art style. I thought the color scheme and the pastels worked really well. I think this is a great book for end of summer, early fall because it had spooky vibes, but it wasn't too dark yet, which is nice. I think it's a nice transition book if you're looking for one. This book also felt a bit isolated because you are going through both Marjorie and Wendell's life, and they are pretty isolated until they become together and become friends. And that actually makes the book drag a little bit at the beginning. I did feel like the pacing was a bit slower than I would have liked for a graphic novel. On the other hand, I really like the pacing in the second half. I just wish the ending was a tad slower because I still wanted more time with the characters and more time to wrap up the story. The thing I perhaps liked the most was the relationship that was formed and the friendship that was formed between Marjorie and Wendell. It was so heartwarming to read. And there's the introduction of a new friend who I'm hoping we get to see in the second book. I'm committed to picking up the second book, but as this wasn't a graphic novel that I absolutely loved, although I'm hoping I will love it more as the series goes on. And the next 2 books I finished in Summerween. So if you watch my Summerween wrap up, feel free to skip this unless you don't mind me rambling about the same 2 books. All right, so the first up, we have a 4-star read, and this was The Last One at the Wedding by Jason Rekulak. And I will say, this is a title that once it came into being of why the title was the title, I absolutely loved it. The meaning behind the title is absolutely wonderful. While this book is marketed as a thriller, I feel like it's more of a domestic suspense. So I would taper your expectation on the pacing and the style of the book for maximum enjoyment. Essentially, the lead up to the book is the main POV we're following is a father, and he gets a letter/phone call from his daughter who he hasn't talked to in a long period of time, in which she's announcing that she's getting married and she's inviting him to the wedding and to meet her fiance. And he's all excited about this opportunity. He wants to reconnect with her. He wants to try to patch up the mistakes he feels like he made as a father. And the book really captures that unconditional love that a parent has for their child. And this father really showed that throughout the entire plot of the book. I also really like wedding/bachelorette party themed thrillers. They work really well for me, and this was no exception to that. I also really like the dynamic and the relationship that built between Frank, the father, and his sister's foster daughter, who is a 10-year-old girl named Abigail. And she was probably my favorite character of the entire book. I absolutely grew to love her and her quirks and the amount of love and hope she had for people despite what she had gone through. And I also loved getting to see Maggie, who is Frank's daughter. She's the one getting married. I love trying to figure out how her mind worked, why she was making decisions the way she was. And she's essentially marrying up. She's marrying into a very rich family. Her father comes from very moderate backgrounds. He is a driver for UPS or USPS, one of the two. And I loved seeing the dynamics of that. I also like the fact that it was set at a summer camp. It gave super summer but scary vibes. I also think this would be a great transitional book going into fall. I will say it was a bit slow at points, particularly it was a slow burner at the beginning. That being said, once we hit the major twist at the halfway point, things really picked up. And the twist caught me quite off guard. I also enjoyed how this was more of a character-led suspense rather than a plot-led suspense. I really enjoyed the characters of the book, and I feel like that's the strong point of the book. And most importantly, I really enjoyed the ending. I liked how the ending showed the natural consequences of characters' behaviors. And minus a few points where you had to suspend disbelief, I thought the plot overall was very believable. And that brings us on to my last book. It was a 5-star read. It was She Started It by Sean Gilbert. And this for me was the perfect summer thriller. It's set on a bachelorette weekend in a remote island in the Bahamas. It had all of the vibes. It follows 5 characters who all knew each other growing up in high school, and 4 of them were really close friends. And then there's this girl they bullied, and she's the one who invited all 4 of these to her bachelorette weekend. And I loved how it really delved into bullying and the trauma that I also liked seeing the friend group dynamics. This is a multiple POV thriller. I know that doesn't always work for people, but I felt like this one worked particularly well. I felt the voices of the characters were all unique, and they all had their own problems and motives. This is written as like an isolated close circle mystery where characters are being killed off one by one. It is very reminiscent of And Then You Were None, the classic by Agatha Christie. If you love that book, I think you might really enjoy this one. And this book, hands down, has probably the best midpoint twist that I've ever read. It was so phenomenally done. And I did predict the bigger twist at the end, but that didn't ruin my enjoyment of the thriller. And that's a testament to the strength of this book. And I think the reason I really enjoyed it is because it was so well executed, and I kept waiting to see exactly how it was going to unfold. I also enjoyed really delving into friend group dynamics, peeling back the layers, seeing all the secrets all the girls kept from one another and why they kept those secrets. And I really enjoyed that. I would recommend this particular thriller to anybody who likes a phenomenal midpoint turn, messy friend group dynamics. I love a messy friend group. And also high stake secrets, like the secrets you don't want coming out. If you enjoy those elements in a thriller and you like an isolated setting, I think this is a great one to pick up. And I highly recommend picking it up before summer. Because of the setting and the locale, you really felt the summer vibes. And that made it for me. So that's the end of the wrap up. Let's talk about my August plans. Part of me wants to read 7 books because it would put me at a nice round 20 for the year. Obviously, I'm not the kind of person you see here on BookTube reading 20 books a month. That's just not me. And I don't have the focus for that at the current time. But I do think 7 is probably a bit unrealistic considering I've read 3 the past 2 months. And so I'm thinking that I'm going to set my goal for 5. That's about a book a week plus a book. And I do feel like it's doable. I'm just going to have to make a concerted effort to set time aside to read every night. And I think I can do it. I'm also feeling my reading vibe shift from summer to fall. It's shifting a little early considering it is still hot in Texas, and it will be hot in Texas till probably October. So maybe I'm just wishfully thinking for the cooler temperatures. And when I say cooler, it's still going to be 90s or 80s. There's no crisp fall in Texas. But I'm thinking I want to read the Amalfi Curse. That's the one for sure on my list. And then The People We Meet on Vacation is the only second one that I have concrete that I really want to read before summer ends. Because I feel like if I miss that opportunity, I'll shelve those books for another year. And so I definitely want to get into those this coming month. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And I would like to know what your best book of last month was. And if you post videos, feel free to leave your wrap up down below so I can go watch it. And I will see y'all later. Happy reading and bye, y'all.